Now, with that, I want to tell you what triggers really are. Again, education. We don't understand it, things are going to get missed. I'm going to go through this really quick because, again, I have a lot more I want to give you. But so triggers have three parts. Did you know that? How many of you knew a trigger had three parts to it? In the betrayal world, we just say trigger and it just encompasses everything. But there's really three parts to a trigger. Part number one is we have a memory, a reminder. There's something in the environment that reminds us of the betrayal. Okay, so that's basically step one of a trigger. Once I have that reminder, now I have second thoughts and third thoughts and fourth thoughts and fifth thoughts. So that's part two. I call it second thoughts and then the spiral. Part three is the physiological response that we have in the body. Okay, so that's three parts. Somebody just said, I'm learning from my classes. Yes, thank you for that. So these three parts to the trigger, okay, we have the reminders, we have second thoughts about the reminders, and then we have the physiological response. The physiological response is actually the trigger, but in the betrayal world, we put all of it under this one umbrella word, trigger. So when you're standing there doing the dishes and all of a sudden you have this memory, this thought, okay, that's step one. That's part one of the trigger. What you do with that thought is what's going to determine what happens next in your body. And again, I use this example all the time because it's just a perfect example, and I give real life stories so people know that I went through this, I lived this. So a lot of my husband's acting out happened at a Marriott hotel. So I would see a Marriott and, I would have a trigger, right? Before I knew any of this stuff. And there were so many times that my husband would just be looking at me like, Beth, my God, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to like tear the building down? I can't do that. Are we never going to drive on this road again? You're going to have to get over this. This is, it's been X amount of months or years. When are you going to get over this? Right. And then, of course, I would spiral and be like, wow. And then we would have a big fight and turn the car around and go home and not go to the event we were supposed to go to because we were both in such a dysregulated state by that time. But now that I understand triggers the way that I do, and this is what I teach, let me tell you what happened. The Marriott was a reminder. I can't change that. I can't get rid of every Marriott on the planet, can I? I cannot change the environment. So I cannot control when those memories are going to happen. I'm just sitting there calmly doing the dishes and all of a sudden I get, whacked with a memory. I can't control that. No human being can control when, you're just sitting there and your mind wanders and thoughts come in, right? They just happen, we just have thoughts. So we can't control that. I can't control my environment and get rid of every Marriott or every street name that's an affair partner's name. I cannot do that. So when we would have, driving down the street and we would see the Marriott, I would have that thought like, oh God, there's the Marriott. Now let's move to step two here. Okay. What happens next? In my thoughts back then, I would spiral right here. It would be, oh my God, there's the Marriott. I can't believe he did that to me. How could he do that to me? How could he do that to me? And if he was in the car, I may start saying something to him, or I may just give him those dirty looks, right? So what's happening is as my thoughts are spiraling, this is changing. My heart starts racing, my stomach drops, I get tense, maybe I start sweating. I was a big sweater. I would start sweating, my palms would get sweaty. It was just like tension head to toe in my body. That was all the PTSD, but I didn't know it. Those second thoughts and that spiral is what caused me to have the physiological change in my body. Healing requires us to change the second thoughts. If my thoughts are all about the danger, ladies and gentlemen, the body's going to respond to danger, real or perceived. So if my thoughts are, I can't believe he did that to me. How could he do that to me? Blah, 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 your body has no choice but to respond because you're telling your brain that there's danger, there's a threat, you're not safe. So your body is going to respond. Can't stop it. So when I teach triggers, like the one woman had said there, when I teach triggers, and I teach this both to the men and the women, it's in Pain to Power and Helping Her Heal, because the unfaithful partners need to know this. And there was one woman in the Helping Her Heal group. So it was not just all men. But anyway, I teach you cannot control the first step or the third step. You can't control your environment. And if you're not safe, you can't control the body's reaction to danger. Can't do it. Not possible. You have a better chance of flying to the moon than you do of stopping either of those two things. It's not possible. This isn't possible because you can't control your world. And we have thoughts. And they just happen. They just boop, pop in. One day you're sitting there and you remember your 16th birthday party. Did you force that thought in? No, it just happened. So we can't control that.